There's UFOs hanging out over your neighborhood, beaming people up and chopping them up, and nobody talks about the aliens much anymore. Aliens aren't cool. The aliens. The motherfuckers flying the UFOs. Who the fuck are they? I think it matters for like a lot of reasons. Like if you know, most of ufology is true and we get down to some of the stuff that maybe we don't want to be true, like abductions, there's UFOs hanging out over your neighborhood, beaming people up and chopping them up and having sex with them, etc., putting trackers in them, putting them back or not, coming back later with their kids, beaming you back up, having you play with your alien kids up in the UFO for a little bit, bringing you back, putting you back. You forget all that, but then like later you can remember it with your hypnotist or whatever. If that stuff's kind of true, that's scary. Personally, like that's the heebie-jeebies right there. But it's more than scary. It's super duper scary. It's like, and we talk about the aliens. Tracking down a cow in the middle of the night and cattle mutilating it with no surgical marks and no blood, and all the organs are removed and half of its face and the gland has been accessed. That's scary also. So all the scary stuff, all the heebie-jeebie stuff, even stuff that's not so heebie-jeebie is still kind of scary, like, driving down Highway 80 in the middle of the night, 1953, saucer is over your car, and then it's 7 hours later and you're driving into Wendover, Nevada, which you were just 15 minutes away, and now it's the middle of the day the next day. That's scary too, even though it's not as scary as the other stuff. It's still kind of, there's some heebie-jeebies there. So them motherfuckers flying the UFOs, who the fuck are they? Why are they flying UFOs here and now and not telling us who they are? And if they're none of these dudes, actual aliens. So if they're not actual aliens, the Q, the Pleiadians, the Andromedians, tall grays, Nordics grays, if they're just like mans, current mans, some kind of black ops, the Russians, the Chinese ants. Who the fuck are they? So, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the aliens. I don't want to call them NHI, but the aliens, and there's lots of different kinds. There's kind of like, based on like historical timeline. So there's the aliens before 1947, kind of. And those could be like the ancient aliens. Those could be, not all of ufology agrees that the ancient aliens that may have been before man or in contact with ancient man, or maybe who created ancient man or helped ancient man or saved ancient man. Those aliens may not be the same aliens that we're talking about basically nowadays than the newer kind of aliens who showed up since 1947. So it's kind of like the old aliens versus the new aliens, the pre 1947 guys. The gods and the angels and the demons. So like the old aliens before 1947. And then there's like the aliens 1947 to now, basically 1947 to 2017, we could say, in ufology. And here we go, 1947, little green men. All of these different kind of like categories or flaps. There's Mothman. Look at this little 6-inch robot. There's a 3-inch man over here. 3-inch man. I don't know what this one is. More robots. Let's go find. There's gotta be a sack of potatoes. There's kind of, I guess, a blob right there. Maybe a sack of potatoes. Oh, some hairy guys and straight up bugs. Lizard man. The Greys. So there's kind of like the second category of aliens. Sorta. Historically. It's like the 1947 to now. Maybe they're not the same. They don't seem like, in ufology, it doesn't seem like all the different parts of ufology agree that these little green men and these Greys are the same aliens, and that all of these aliens, little green men, Nordics, tall whites, hairy guys, Greys, that they're the same ones that were shown up 200,000 years ago, or that any of these are the Anunnaki, etc. So these are kind of like the current aliens, 1947 to 2017. 2017, kind of, at least in ufology, everything changes, right? It's kind of like the arrival of Lou Elizondo. It's the New York Times article, Leslie Kean, and her pal, I always forget his name. So that's like the year. Everything kind of changes. And really, since then, we aren't talking about the aliens very much at all in ufology. Pretty much just talking about drones, talking about maybe not even like alien drones, but even the drones that aren't manned drones. We're talking about alien drones with no aliens in them. Mostly. Since 2017. So that's kind of how I initially start to kind of divide up the aliens, the motherfuckers flying, the UFOs, is into those kind of like historical categories to start with. So before 1947, got the old aliens. Who knows? And we talk about them a lot. You could watch Ancient Aliens. I think even today, right now, we got like a new season of Ancient Aliens. So the old aliens that the ancient alien theorists are talking about all the time, and everyone else, the angels, the demons, they may not be the same ones that have showed up since nuclear weapons, since Roswell, whatever reason the little green men started to show up. So then the second category, I got 1947 to 2017. All these folks in different flaps, and that's kind of like what before 1947 is like a chapter in ufology, but it's what ancient alien astronaut theory is all about. And then ufology is really all this stuff. And there's a lot of historical documentation, a lot of witnesses, accounts, and all these different, kinds of aliens show up in all those accounts. We don't really have any pictures or videos in any of this time. The first real kind of like UFO videos that anyone counts anymore are the 2017 Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon videos that are subject to much debate, but we're not really talking about aliens in that debate at all. Authenticity of the videos and what is in the videos is what everyone's discussing. And so then from there we can kind of like discuss the aliens a little bit, the little green men, or all these guys, any of the aliens. I don't know who they are, what they are. Oh, there's many different kinds. There's old ones and new ones, like we talked about, angels and demons. There is, you could say a lot of categories of aliens. There's Greys and Nordics and reptilian and mantis and so on, robots. There could be like robots with boxes inside them with little tiny horses. And then there is, there's unmanned. And there could be two kinds of unmanned. There could kind of be like drones, unmanned or drones. So they're crafts with nothing in them. AI, I guess, so to speak. Piloted by AI, piloted by computers, piloted remotely by some other being, whether it's a computer or an alien or a human somewhere else. And so for the like manned versus unmanned category, I guess they don't talk about a lot, but they're arguing often that the UFOs that we're seeing could be alien drones. So there's no aliens in there. So there's unmanned category, which has alien and manned versions. And then there's kind of like the manned stuff, the mans, the conventional man, black projects of the USA, the Russians, the British, the Indians, the Chinese. Is there anyone else? Is there any other people on the planet? Conventional men doing stuff with flying things and spaceships and airplanes and stuff. Then there's like old mans, like ancient, like lost, I guess pieces of older civilizations, like the Romans, the Atlanteans, the Egyptians, the Mayans. There's way old mans that we don't know about. I guess some of them could be like crypto or even ultra terrestrials. But I think that's like the next part, which is like ultra terrestrials. What in like, I guess, modern ufology discussion, what they're talking about when they say that is like breakaway civilizations that are much more probably recent than what we were just talking about when we were talking about Romans and Atlanteans and Egyptians, or Agarthians. That would be breakaway civilizations like I don't know, secret NASA that has colonies on Mars and a secret space fleet, like an NRO space fleet, or both of those things, right? There's kind of like a more British oriented OS CIA controlled breakaway civilization, and there's also a separate, more ex-Nazi oriented NASA breakaway civilization, and they've got different assets on the planet in the solar system. So those are like the ultra terrestrials, really. Crypto terrestrials, maybe those could be like the Agarthians, the Atlanteans, other civilizations, like older ones, or I guess ones that don't exist yet and have traveled in time. So those are kind of like three more categories that aren't like the historical timeline based. Those are just kind of like faction based, Little green men of all kinds. There's a lot of those, old ones, new ones. The unmanned ones, whether those are just remotely controlled by computer or by man or by aliens or by AI, an entirely separate third faction that's not even man AI or alien AI. It's just AI, right? And then there's all the manned options, the current mans, black tech, the Chinese, old mans, the Romans, the Egyptians, Atlanteans, ultra terrestrials, breakaway civilizations. So who are they? Who are the guys flying the flying saucers around? Who are the guys that we got the flying saucers from that Bob Lazar is working on there? That's what we're talking about. That's what we mean by the aliens. And what they're doing, I don't know. It doesn't seem good if we take ufology at face value in any way to have aliens, no matter how technologically advanced or not that they are, flying around, doing cat mutilations and abductions and hanging out with your kids at school, reading them stories, right? So the aliens, like I said, the motherfuckers flying the UFOs, that's who we're talking about. And that's a lot of stuff there. Most of the time, though, I guess the only reason we include all the manned stuff, even if it's the unmanned drone stuff, is it's kind of like, I guess even from the ufology perspective, we can go ahead and take that explanation, that prosaic explanation, as truthful, as a possibility, as possible, as the truth maybe, or even not maybe, as actually the truth, So that's why it's included in there, and it's definitely in ufology in different ways. One of the ways being debunkers, whoever they are, flying the motherfucking UFOs. Probably not a good thing. Probably not a good thing that it seems like at face value, at least from, like I said, the ufology perspective, that the government is in cahoots. On some level, on probably every level, on probably a whole bunch of levels, but probably all of them. They're in cahoots. They're probably kin with the aliens. Like they're related to them, they're blood relations. And that's super heebie-jeebie. That's way past like woo. They don't even have to be lizards for any of that to be the case.